Are you giving starting music, Mani?
Koti will give Sanjay ji. Yeah, just wait.
Okay. Okay. Namaste, everybody. Welcome to this month-long Global Festival of Oneness organized by Indica Moksha. As usual, it is a beautiful treat for all Vedanta lovers and the mumukshus for one full month. I will start this session by certain chanting of the Shanti mantras and invocations. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vasudeva Sutan Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Mukhaṁ Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripartamaham Vande Paramanandamaram. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sahanavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviyam Karavamahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sat. King Jyotistava Bhanumana Hanime Ratro Pradipadikam Syadevam Raviti Padarshana Vidho King Jyotirakhyahime Chakshustasya Nimhilanadi Samaye Kintir Diyo Darshane Kintatrahamato Bhavan Jyotisadasmi Prabhu. Today morning, we are privileged to have Vidwan Manikandan Iyer to give us expositions on Mahavakya-vicāra on Shankara-Bhashya. Vidwan Manikandan Iyer, a banker by profession and a Sanatani by practice. It's a phenomenal combination. With Sharada's blessings, has had the rare fortune of studying Shastras from a tender age. He also studied and continues to study the Vyakarana from Vidwan C. Tilak Rao. He traditionally started his Vedanta study under his Guru Brahmashri Sridhar Sharmaji. He has also had a rare fortune of learning Vedanta from the most senior and respected Vidwan in the Vedanta circle, Mahamahopādhyaya Shastraratnakar Vidwan Sri M. Krishnamurti Ji Shastri, while continuing to learn under Sri Brahmashri Sridhar Sharmaji. he also has the rare fortune of studying the Tarka Shastra from Vidwan Sri Naveen Holla of Sringeri, senior most disciple of 36.8 of Sringeri, but Sridham Pitan, Mahasannidham Sri Brahmatirtha Mahaswamiji, Bharati Tirtha Mahaswamiji. So, over to you, Manikandan.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shruti Smriti Purananam Malayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Kumbhavam Samupeyushi Bhagavati Kim Bharati Rajate Kim Va Sadhana Samhritan Dhritavapur Jnanam Samindhef Param इत्युल्लिख्य सविस्मयं कृतधियो ध्यायन्ति यं भारती तीर्थस्यास्य जगद्गुरोः कुशलदा श्रीपादुका मे गतिः सर्वश्रुतिशिरोद्भूतसमुद्भासितमूर्तये वेदान्ताम्बुजसूर्याय तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. Advaita Academy has given me a humongous task of talking about or doing the Vichara of each Mahāvākya. This is relatively a tough job because each Mahāvākya in itself can be spoken about for months together. But in this series, we will be seeing each Mahāvākya during each weekend. Okay. Now we will get started with the Mahāvākya-vicāra. What is a Mahāvākya first? Okay. What is a Mahāvākya? Literal translation of Mahāvākya means that it is a great sentence. A Mahāvākya refers to a profound statement that is found in the Upaniṣads that reveal the essential non-dual identity between the jīva and the Brahman. This is the basic definition of the Mahāvākya. Now, if something has to be called Mahāvākya, we also need to know what constitutes a Mahāvākya. Now let us see what actually constitutes a Mahāvākya. The basic qualification for a Mahāvākya is that it should have Veda or Upanishadic Pramana. Now, why should it have Upanishadic or Veda Pramana? Veda Pramana because of its Apaurushayatva, and Upanishad literally means that which removes ignorance. Upani, there are two words in Upanishads, Upani and Sat. Upani means Upanayati iti Upani, that which brings closer or joins together. What does the Brahma Vidya do? Brahma Vidya kim karoti? Upanayati. Kam upanayati. What does it bring closer to? Jiva-atmanam upanayati. Kam prati upanayati. Jiva-atmanam paramatmanam prati upanayati. It brings closer the Jiva-atma and the Paramatma. Then Sad. Upanishad has, like I said, has two words, Upani and Sad. The word Sad means avasadayati iti Sat. Avasadayati means that meaning that which destroys. What does it destroy? It destroys the samsara or the ajñāna or the bheda buddhi. Bheda buddhim avasadayati iti Sat. So therefore, Upanishad in itself means Upani cha asau Sat cha. Upanishad is the yogic artha of the Upanishad. This is the first qualification for any Vakya to be called as Mahāvākya. Then, the second qualification is that it has to reveal the identity or something that we have forgotten. Why? We have forgotten our real nature to be that of Brahman due to avidya or ajnana. And therefore, this Mahāvākya has to reveal the real identity of that seeker. See, one more question might logically also arise. You said that it has to reveal something that is unknown. So, anything that is unknown, even the worldly, there are so many things in the world that we are unaware of or we do not know. If any book of knowledge is going to reveal us those things that we are not aware of, can that be called as Mahāvākya? No, it cannot be called as Mahāvākya, because any worldly vidya, like the Upanishads in itself say, it is apara vidya, dve vidye veditavyeti, para apara cha. Any worldly vidya is the apara vidya. So apara vidya does not constitute here. And hence, Mahāvākya should always talk about the Paravidya. Why should it always teach us something that we don't know? Or why should it, in this case, why should it always teach the Aikya between the Jiva and Brahman? Because naturally, we know that we are different. The world outside us, the Jagat is different, and the Ishvara is different. So, we do not need the Shastra to again tell us that you are different, the world is different, and the Paramatma is different. We do not need Shastra to make us understand or reiterate these already known facts. And therefore, Mahāvākya, the Upanishad, are revealing this truth to us. This is the second qualification, that it has to reveal the identity. The third is the nature of it being as a cause or a path for liberation. How is that Mahāvākyas are usually taken up for nididhyasana or deep contemplation. And for that, we have to know the unknown. If we cannot contemplate on which that we already know. So for that, we need something that we do not know. Since we already know that the world, Jagat, Ishvara are different, and if Mahāvākya is again going to teach us the same thing, it will not be fit for contemplation, and not only fit for contemplation, there will be nothing left for contemplation. And therefore, Mahāvākya should act as a path for liberation, meaning that when a guru gives you or teaches you or gives you the Upadesha of the Mahāvākya, and you are sitting in the Guru's Sannidhi and doing the Nididhyasana or deep contemplation, it should be a path for liberation. So, three qualities required for Mahāvākya. One, it should have the Upanishadic Pramana. Second, it should reveal the identity of the real nature of the Brahman. Third, it should act as a path for liberation. We have four Mukhya Vedas, and four Mahāvākyas from each of the Vedas. The four Vedas are the Prajnanam Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, and Ayamatma Brahma. Prajnanam Brahma is from the Rig Veda, Aham Brahmasmi is from the Yajur Veda, Tattvamasi is from the Sama Veda, and Ayamatma Brahma is from the Atharva Veda. Now we will take up one Mahāvākya for today or this session, which is the Aham Brahmasmi Mahāvākya. There are three words in this Mahāvākya, Aham Brahma Asmi, which translates to I am the Brahman. First, just three words, can it constitute a sentence? First, we have to see that. Okay, we have to first see if this can first actually become a sentence, and then we will see if it will become a Mahāvākya. Can this first become a sentence? If you see, yes, this can become a sentence. Why? For a group of words to be called a sentence, what is required? Three things are required. What are those three things? Is that first is Akanksha, second is Yogyata, and third is Sannidhi. Okay? What is Akanksha? is that the words in the sentence must complete each other mutually. And it should also give a meaning. This is akanksha. Yogyata is it logically compatible? For example, if you say a sentence like Ramaha kshiram pibati, or Rama drinks milk, this is logically compatible. But if you say Ramaha agnim or vanhim pibati, this is not logically compatible at all, because no one can drink the fire. So yogyata should also be there. Next is the sannidhi. Sannidhi is that the words that we take as a Mahavakya should be in proximity. You cannot take one word from one chapter, other word from another chapter, till these two things can be combined. We can do Anvaya like this, and then these can be called as Mahavakya and such things. No, the words have to be in close proximity to each other. Now, if you see Aham, Brahma, Asmi, does this have Akanksha? We will put that to test. Aham means I, which means the first person. Naturally, question will arise, what about the first person? What about that I? Now, the next word is Brahma, which is the ultimate reality. Now you will ask me, who is that Brahma? So I will tell you, Asmi, I am, which means the Asmi ties the two, the subject and the predicate, which is Aham and the Brahma. So this means there is Aham, Brahma, Asmi is mutually completing a sentence. Okay. Then comes the Yogyata that we will see in the later parts. The third quality is the Sannidhi. See, Aham, Brahma, Asmi is in the same sentence, which means it is adjacent to each other, and therefore Sannidhi is also possible. Because it satisfies Akanksha, Yogyata and Sannidhi, this can be first taken up as a Vakya. Now we will see if this constitutes as a Mahavakya. Does this have Upanishadic Pramana? Yes, it has Upanishadic Pramana, because it comes in the first chapter, 4th Brahmana, and 10th mantra. The Aham Brahmasmi Vakya comes there. So it has the Upanishadic Pramana. Is it revealing the identity? Yes, it is revealing the identity that you, the Jiva, is the Brahman in reality. Can this be taken up for Nididhyasana? Of course, this can be taken up for Nididhyasana, and this will act as a hetu for moksha. Now comes the Aham Brahmasmi Vichara. From here on, we will have the entire set of Purvapaksha and Siddhantas that are being done. Where does this come first? Like I said before, it comes in the first Adhyaya, 4th Brahmana and 10th mantra. The mantra says, Brahmava idamagra asit tad atmanam eva vet aham brahmasmi iti. What does this mantra say, or this sentence say? These two sentences say is that in the beginning of the universe, Brahma alone existed, and it knew itself that I am that Brahman, and therefore it became, that same Brahman became as the world, and it became as everything. And there are so many things that come there, and it concludes, thus even now, whoever knows that I am Brahma becomes all of this. Now the Vichara actually starts. We will keep the before sentence, that is Brahmava idamagra asit, for we will keep that aside, and the later stages of the Vakya, that one who knows this will become all of this. We will keep that also aside, and we will take that one separate sentence for now for Vichara, that is Aham Brahmasmi iti. We will take that for Vichara now. I am not omitting the Purva and Para sentences. I am just keeping them aside for now. We will take it in the end to make sure that the sentence actually fits with Aham Brahmasmi, and we are not inferring something that is not there. Now, if someone realizes that he is Brahman, can someone realize that he is Brahman first? Why? The jiva, this is the Puravaksha, this is if the jiva by in itself very naturally knows that it is limited. While the Brahman, we know that it is unlimited. How can a limited being and an unlimited being be the same? They will also ask you one more question. Will you accept the apparent differences between the jiva and the Brahman? So for what Upanishad says, whatever I am talking, though it is from the Advaita viewpoint, it is in reality, it is the Upanishad viewpoint only. Because Advaita is not different from Upanishads or the Vedas. Okay? We say, yes, Upanishad in itself already accepts that the jiva is limited, Brahma is unlimited or omnipresent. This is very much accepted, but only in Vyavahara Drishti. The jiva being limited and the Brahma being unlimited or the omnipresent is accepted only in the Vyavahara Drishti and not in the Paramarthika Drishti. Now comes the question of jiva being limited and Brahma being unlimited. How do you account for these two? See, the attributes of limitedness is due to adhyasa. Okay, or adhyasa means the superimposition. What is the cause for adhyasa? Is the avidya or ajñāna. And when someone contemplates the Mahavakya of Aham Brahmasmi, what happens? The avidya nasha happens or the ajñāna nasha happens. When the ajñāna nasha happens, what remains? The adhyasa also falls away and the jiva buddhi also ceases to exist, and the aikya between the chaitanya in the Ishvara and the chaitanya in the jiva happen. So the jiva being limited is only because of the adhyasa. So the next question that might arise is that our direct experience shows that we can be, or we are able to see that we are distinct individuals and not infinite consciousness like the Upanishad says. If our direct experience is only not helping us to realize that this is Brahman, the jiva is the Brahman, how can the Upanishads tell and can we accept that? Is it not, basically it is going to contradict our experience. So what we say is that, so what? If it is contradicting your experience, so what? See, there are so many experiences in your life that you think is actually true. But in reality, it is not even true. They are only an illusion. See, suppose you are dreaming. The best example here is the dream. You are dreaming, and in the dream, you create a chariot wheel and a path for the chariot to go and all those things. And or we will take one more example of tiger chasing you in the dream. Or one more example of snake coming to bite you in the dream. See that when you are experiencing the dream appears as though it is 200% real. There is absolutely no doubt for a person who is seeing the dream that it is a dream. It appears as though it is 200% real. But in reality, is it real? Absolutely not. Because when you wake up, the tiger or the chariot or the chariot wheels or the paths that you have created ceases to exist. Now, if you argue that it is only a dream, but in the waking state, through the Indriya Pratyaksha, I am able to see or experience so many things. In dream, Indriyas may not be working properly. If you are taking up that argument, then I will take the argument of the snake and the rope, or the silver in the seashell, or best example most of us would have experienced is that the mirage example. You know that the mirage exists there. It is pratyaksha from your indriyas through your eyes that it appears that it is there. In reality, is it there? It is not there. It is still our direct experience. The mirage is not someone else's experience, like the dream. It is our own experience. But what happens in reality, it does not experience. It does not exist. Similarly, there are so many direct experiences in our life that may appear as though it is real, but in reality, it is illusion. Similarly, what happens when the real knowledge of the Mahavakya dawns upon you, just as the tiger vanishes, just as the snake vanishes, just as the chariot vanishes, just as the snake ceases to exist and only the rope ceases to exist, similarly, the Bheda Buddhi or the Jiva Buddhi vanishes and only the Brahma Bhava dawns upon him. Okay? Okay, we will take one more thing. Just because I said Brahma Bhava, now can we say that Aham Brahmasmi is not a affirmation but a conceptual idea, such that I will just accept Aham Brahmasmi because Upanishads have told that to me. Upanishads are apaurushayatva. I have that conviction, or we will leave that also because my guru told me that, my child, you are that Brahman only. A guru told me. Because my guru told me, can I just take it and leave it like that without doing anything or contemplating on that? Because what if it is just a affirmation, conceptual affirmation of that, and in reality it is not there? It is, what if it is just like a mother promising a child a candy if she writes her homework? What if it is such a kind of a conceptual affirmation? The answer is, it can never be a conceptual affirmation or a belief, because even if you believe that I am the Brahman, the duality still remains. The ego that is attaching with the body-mind complex still remains. Not only that, just because you believe that I am the Brahman, you will still have fear. You will still have emotions that are attached or coming with the body. Not only that, this just by knowing that I am the Brahman, you will not be liberated. Okay, the nididhyasana has to happen, the sadhana has to happen, and only then, after taking up the Mahavakya and the Vichara, the sadhana has to happen, and only then one can be liberated. Or else, it will be as if you are suffering before without knowing the Mahavakya. Now you are suffering knowing the Mahavakya. That will be the only solution. So, understanding or just trusting blindly will not help you liberate. Having Shraddha on the Guru's Vakya and Upanishad Vakya is a different story. I am not bringing that here, but just blindly believing that will not help. This has to, the Mahavakya has to be contemplated very seriously, and sadhana has to happen, and only then this will work. Now, the question comes that the Upanishad, why are you taking this up very seriously as the Mahavakya? The Upanishad, the Gita, all these texts, though in reality they have come to teach us this moksha or show us the path of moksha, they are also teaching us upasana, they are also teaching us bhakti, and they also say that doing the bhakti to the supreme Godhead and other people will be the cause for moksha and other things. And in bhakti, we know that there is duality. In upasana, we know that there is duality. Because Gita Shastra in itself, or even the Upanishad Bhashya in itself says that Gita nam moksha dharmanam cha evam paratva. There is a Vakya, Bhashya Vakya. But in reality, it is you say that it has come to teach you this, but in reality, it is teaching bhakti. In reality, it is teaching upasana and other things. What do you say so? For what we say is that so what? If it is, let it teach whatever it wants. Because Upanishad view is that the all upasanas, all bhaktis ultimately will culminate only into jnana. So let it teach whatever it wants. And moreover, any upasana or any bhakti that we are doing, if it is not going to be a pratibandhaka to the moksha, then we can absolutely take it. That is why karma yoga is taken, bhakti yoga is taken, because it will not act as a pratibandhaka to moksha. Okay? Not only that, you say that the bhakti is being taught. The secret there is that bhakti that is stated in the Bhagavad Gita can only be done by a jnani who has realized or who is in this bhava of aham brahmasmi. Bhakti, as in the bhakti yoga, can be done only by a jnani who is in the aham brahmasmi bhava, or in that state of nirvikalpa samadhi. Because if a person is outside or is not realized his self and still doing bhakti, mentally he can say that I am doing bhakti as bhakti yoga, I am doing karma as karma yoga. All those things can be told, but in reality that will not happen, because only a jnani can do bhakti as bhakti yoga. Even if he is a mumukshu, he cannot do bhakti as bhakti yoga, because mumukshu, at least mumukshu will have this thought that I want liberation, that is why I am doing this bhakti. He will at least have this thought, if not thoughts like the worldly pleasures and other things that he might ask from the God, he might have this bhava that I am a mumukshu, I want moksha. So there is still Beda Buddhi. Only a jnani who has done this, who is in this bhava, or who is in this aham brahmasmi state, can do bhakti as bhakti yoga, and whatever is stated in the Gita can be done only by him and not others. What others do is can be, or what others do or the worldly people do can be called as sakama bhakti and not bhakti yoga. Okay? Moreover, if you say that the Gita or Upanishads talk about bhakti and upasana, they are not just talking about bhakti and upasana and talking about Brahma-Vichara or the reality of Brahman in one sentence like the Mahavakya. There are so many shlokas in Gita, there are so many shlokas in Upanishads, there are so many shlokas in the Upanishad in itself, where even in the Gita that talk about the reality of Brahman. Bhagavan himself says, Jneyam yattat pravakshyami yad jnatva amritam ashnute. He says, oh Arjuna, I will tell you something by knowing which you will attain that path of Amrita or that liberation. So this is not just one shloka. There are so many shlokas that talk about the reality of Brahman apart from talking about the bhakti and upasana. So this is also not a problem. Now comes a big Purva Paksha. See, there are Upanishadic passages that visibly talk about Bheda between Jiva, Brahma. And we say that the Bheda is eternal. The Bheda between the Jiva and Jagat is always eternal, and Narayana is the ultimate. The pramanam they give for that is again from the Brihadaranyaka only. Sava yesha purusho jayate yadidam kinchana tad asarjata. Here they say that it is very clear there is duality between the creator and the created. Whatever gets created gets destroyed. So Narayana, who is the creator, is the ultimate. The other pramana they give here is Nityo Nityanam, Chetanas Chetananam, Eko Bahunam, Yo Vidadati Kaman. This comes in the Kathopanishad. So they say they say that this proves it is very apparent that there are 5 bheda between the Ishvara and the Jiva. Okay. Yeah. Then they give the Gita's pramana also, that dvavimau purushau loke kshara akshara evacha. So they say kshara means the jivas. There are two types of people in this world. One is kshara and akshara. Akshara are the jivas who die, and akshara is the Narayana, who is always present, for which we say these are all upasana shlokas or arthavada. But the vakyas like Aham Brahmasmi are the Anvaya Vakya, and they carry the final tattva. Why? Because Arthavada or Upasana Vakya are meant to glorify something such as creation, controlling, Ishvara controlling the jivas and such things. Or there are so many multiplicity and so other things. But the Mahāvākya is not meant to glorify something. It has come to teach you the reality. Therefore, we are not saying that they are wrong, but what we are doing, we are also not negating those shlokas, and it is not that we are not going to write bhashya for those shlokas and leave it empty just like that without commenting upon that. Bhagavad Padacharya has very clearly written bhashya for all those things. Each shloka Bhagavad Padacharya has written bhashya, and therefore, like I said, we are not going to negate this, but we are going to place that in the exact category where it belongs to. If it belongs to Arthavada category, we are going to place that shloka in the Arthavada category. If it belongs to the Upasana category shloka, we will place that in the Upasana category. If it belongs to the Mahāvākya or the Anvaya Vakya category, then we will place that there. We are not negating, and this is not a problem to us at all, because we have also accepted this Bheda in the Vyavaharika Drishti or in the Prapancha Drishti. So this is not a problem for us, and it is not that we have never taken up this shloka for commenting. Bhagavad Padacharya has very clearly commented upon this shloka. Additionally, the problem with whatever the Purva says is that if the Jiva is forever eternal from the Brahma, that will lead to one more assumption or one more us understanding one more thing, that the Jiva is permanently dependent on Brahma birth after birth. If it is eternally different from Brahma, it has to depend on Brahma birth after birth after birth. Then the moksha or the atyantika dukkha nivritti will not happen, because he will keep going birth after birth, and this will never stop. Not only this, the purpose of the Upanishad for which it has come will not be fulfilled, or for which the Upanishad is there, it will not be fulfilled. Not only this, this will lead to a series of logical inconsistencies and fallacies. And this also violates the Upanishad's dictum. This will not work at all. Okay, see, moksha, what is moksha? First we have to understand that it is atyantika dukkha nivritti. How does it happen? It is not that Bhagavad Padacharya has told that it will happen by you realizing your inner self. No, it is not Bhagavad Padacharya's vakya. Bhagavad Padacharya has taken up Upanishadic pramana and clearly written or shown us what that shloka means. He has not done Saraswati Prana Pidana and bought some meaning and placed it there. Bhagavad Padacharya has very clearly commented the flow of Bhagavad Padacharya Vakya. If you read the Bhashya, it is very clear. There is no struggling for you to understand anything there. It is as clear as that. Moksha means realizing your own nature, or moksha is realizing that Atma Tattva. There cannot be multiplicity of moksha. Moksha for you is going to Goloka, moksha for you is going to Vaikunta, moksha for you is going to Kailasa. There cannot be. Such things are just lokas. Maybe they are more divine lokas than the bhuloka, but they are still lokas. But even if you go there, you will have to come back to earth. Upanishad Pramana again, Kshine Punye Martyalokam Vishanti. So the ultimate reality is that unless and until you realize yourself or the Atma Tattva, there is no moksha. So there cannot also be multiplicity of mokshas. Moksha means this according to the Shruti. If you are deciding to change the Shruti and play around, then that is left to you. In whatever Shruti says, we are just accepting that, and we know that Shruti says that realizing one's own self is moksha. So we will take that as moksha. So if you say it is eternally Bheda, then it will lead to a series of logical inconsistencies and fallacies, and that cannot happen. Now, what if there one more Purvapaksha? What if you take Vakyas like Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi and other things as Arthavada in itself? What if these are given in praise of rituals and other things and not to teach the knowledge as they are saying? See, for this we have to understand first as to what an Arthavada is. Okay, what an Arthavada is. See, Arthavada is a sentence, eulogistic sentence, or that which is praising something. If you observe, Arthavada always is connected with a Vidhi. Okay, Arthavada not only that, Arthavada Vakya in itself will not produce any new knowledge. But what is happening in Mahāvākya is that Mahāvākya is producing or making you realize something that you have forgotten, that you are that Brahma, which means it is producing a knowledge that is not there within you. But in case of Arthavada, that is not happening. Okay, so and moreover, not only that, like I said before, Arthavada is always connected or is always enjoined with a Vidhi. But the Vedanta or the Upanishad falls out of the place or out of the boundary of the karma in itself. So there is no Arthavada that can come here. Logically, there can be no Arthavada here. And therefore, Vakyas like Aham Brahmasmi and other things are not Arthavada at all. What is the Bhagavad Padacharya in his Bhashya very clear says, Nayam mantraha karma anugunaha jnana-nisthayam ayam arthaha na karma-janyatvat mokshaha. Moksha can never be a direct path for liberation. So therefore, while commenting on this only, he very clearly says, these mantras are not for karma. Na ayam mantraha karma anugunaha. Very clear. Jnana-nisthayam ayam arthaha. And therefore, Vakyas like Aham Brahmasmi cannot be a Arthavada, but a Mahavakya only. Okay. We will make a slight modification in the Bheda. We will not say it is complete difference between Brahma and Jiva. We will say that Jiva is the prakara of Brahman. Prakara is in the mode of a Brahman. So, Aham Brahmasmi becomes I, the Jiva. I am the Sharira of the Brahman, who is the Shariri. And Narayana, who is the Shariri, has the Ananta Kalyana Guna. How can you negate all those things and say that Nirguna, that Brahman without attributes is real? Bhagavad Padacharya very clearly says the sambandha that comes there is that of the Visheshya Visheshana Bhava Sambandha. Bhagavad Padacharya very clearly says in his Bhashya, Katham Visheshya Visheshena Katham Tattvamasi Aikyatvam Siddhyati. When there is differences or when there is this part and the whole relationship, how can there be an Aikya to that? So this is not possible. See, not only that, if you are interpreting a sentence, it also has to be grammatically very correct. When you say aham brahma asmi, both aham and brahma are in the prathama, and asmi is the word that is equating both the aham and the brahma. So there is no very clearly, there is no visheshya visheshana bhava here, or the sharira shariri bhava, or the shesha sheshi bhava. Such things do not exist here. And if you take up the one more problem that comes with this is that if you take up the idea of sharira and shariri, there are so many, there are jivas in this world. How will you account for the I-ness of each of the jiva? Each jiva has this feeling that I exist. How will you account for that? Which will become very difficult to answer. Now we'll come to the second part of the question. That is that Narayana has Ananta Kalyana Guna. How will you account for that? We will say there is nothing to account for it. We are also accepting that Narayana, who is having the Shankha Chakra Gadha, also has the Ananta Kalyana Guna. We have never negated that. Our Bhagavad Padacharya by himself also has never negated that, which is very apparent from his stotras and other things. All those things are in the Upasana level. Because the Guna is also the ontological distinction between the Jiva and Brahma. In reality, the Nirguna is only the reality. Okay, Nirguna cannot become a guna for Narayana. Such that will not be logically correct also. Bhagavad Padacharya again in his Bhashya says, Nama Rupa Kritam Sarvam Vyavahara Vishayam Mithya Tattvam tu Nirguna Brahmaiva. Very clear. He says, Nama Rupa Kritam Sarvam Vyavahara Vishayam Mithya Tattvam tu Nirguna Brahmaiva. Very clear from this. Then one more Purvapakshi will ask as to how will you account for shlokas like Narayana Paratva Shloka or Vishnu Paratva Shloka or Shiva Paratva Shloka. We say there is no contradiction, absolutely no contradiction, and there is nothing like we have omitted something or left out something. We have to, like I said before, we have to place it in these shlokas in the Upasana category, as simple as that. So there is nothing that we have to account for. And in reality, in conclusion, it is that Jiva Bhava is Mithya, Brahma is the only truth, and I am that Brahman. Not only that, in case you take Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara to be separate, then there will be eternal difference between the Jiva and Ishvara. When there is eternal difference, this will lead to one more problem of having two infinite entities. Jiva is also being infinite. It is being there from time after time, and it is not going to end because you say that there is eternal Bheda. Brahman is also there even before the world started. It is also going to be there even after the world is ceases to exist. This will lead to us understanding or making one logic that there are two infinite realities, which is logically not correct. And if you take up that logic, if you say that the Ishvara is infinite, naturally one question will arise, does it include Jiva or does not include Jiva? If it does not include Jiva, then what is happening? It may partially lose its attribute of all encompassing because it is leaving Jiva and encompassing other things. So if you take up the answer that no, Jiva is also Jiva is also within the Brahman, we say that the Bheda Buddhi or the Dvaita collapses there, because if you say that the Jiva is within the Brahman or in reality is the Brahman, we say that is also what Upanishads is saying, that in reality the Jiva is the Brahma in himself, and hence this is not a problem for us. Not only this, and if you say there is one more dosha of anavastha dosha that you will be encountered with. If you say that there is eternal bheda between Jiva and Ishvara. See, if for example, if you say A is different from B, what marks the difference between A and B is the quality or the guna. So, what marks the quality between A and B is the guna 1. What marks the quality between B and C is the guna 2. So, you will have to start accounting for guna 1, guna 2, guna 3, and this will keep going and there will be no end for this. So, which will lead to anavastha dosha. Not only that, if you say that A is known by B, B is known by C, C is known by D, this will also keep going and there will be anavastha dosha. So, that cannot happen. And therefore, Brahma is the only reality that is there, and Jiva is a kalpana. We have absolutely no doubt in that. Okay? Then if you say, then if in reality, if you say, why have you prescribed so many upasanas or so many paths to this, when you can just say, the answer is, why can't you just take it and accept it? That cannot happen. See, the best example to understand this as to why so many things are given as sadhana is the example of you having the spectacles on your head. You search the entire house only to realize that you did not need any of the sadhana to search, because the spectacle was not somewhere outside that you had to search and get it, it was within you. Similarly, you do all the sadhana to realize that you did not need any sadhana to know yourself. The ajñāna nasha has to happen, okay? And without knowing this truth, there is no moksha. And in the same prakarana, Bhagavad Padacharya says, Atha yo anyam devatam upaste anyaha asau anyaha aham asmi iti na sa veda yatha pashurevam sa devanam. He says, he who thinks he is one, I am another, and does not know the reality that actually in paramarthika drishti that he is that Brahman, he is like a beast for gods, and he will keep toiling and he will keep going back and forth in the cycle of birth and death, and he will never be able to realize that Brahman and be free from moksha. And therefore, this Mahāvākya has come to show us the reality that you are not the thing, you are not the jiva, you are not the samsari that you think you are. In reality, you are actually that Brahman who's devoid of all these things. You are suffering because of your upadhi. When the drishti changes, you become free from this, and you are given that you realize yourself, you abide by the self, and you are free from all these things. Okay, this is a very conceptual gist of the Mahavakya-vicāra of Aham Brahmasmi. I will offer this at the holy feet of Sannidhanam and my Guru, and I will close this. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Thank you. Starting from Jivatma Paramatma Aikya Bodhaka Upanishada Vakyani Mahavakyani, with end in the mind, of asatvavrutti or vacharambano vikaro namadheyam mritiketyeva satyam. It's a very, very long journey. I can add so many avagrahas after long journey. It was very nice to hear you, sir, and it will be very nice to hear you for other Mahavakyani. May it be Pratnyanam Brahma, may it be Tattvamasi, or may it be I am Atma Brahma. Thank you very much. Viewers, please join in the evening also. The evening flyer is shown. Thank you. Thanks all.